Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into a brand new explainer, decoding the omniscient tech review, personal finance and FinTech 2026. We're going to take a bit of a tech roast, reality check approach to breaking down some highly advanced and, frankly, mind-bending financial architecture today. I mean, if you thought balancing a checkbook was outdated 5 years ago, just wait till you see what the financial backbone of 2026 actually looks like. Why should you care? Well, because the financial future is arriving way faster than any of us anticipated, and you definitely don't want to be left behind. So let's just jump right in.
First things first, I want you to look down at your wrist real quick. Is your smartwatch secretly trading stocks right now? Okay, I know, it sounds absolutely ridiculous, like a bad sci-fi joke, but grounding this in actual 2026 capabilities, it's a completely valid question. Your wearables might actually be making high-frequency financial moves totally behind your back while you're just sitting there busy deciding what to have for lunch. And the engine making all of that possible is a complete ground-up reimagining of our digital domains.
Because the reality is, we've evolved way past basic mobile banking. We're not just checking our balances on a screen anymore. We are operating inside this wildly complex matrix of decentralized financial protocols, quantum-resistant ledger encryption, and hyper-personalized wealth management driven by AGI, that's artificial general intelligence precursors. The underlying digital architecture powering your wallet has undergone a total paradigm shift, basically leaving legacy banking systems completely in the dust.
To put it in perspective, think about how data was handled back in the dark ages of the early 2020s. Old RESTful API architectures, they were essentially like paying for an entire all-you-can-eat buffet just because you wanted to eat one single chicken nugget. It was heavy, it was slow, and just full of payload bloat. Today, the open banking standard utilizes GraphQL APIs, securely locked down by OAuth 3.0. It's like ordering exactly the data you need and nothing more. It's elegantly saving our 6G data plans from absolute exhaustion.
So we move from ancient ISO 8583 legacy messaging to these snappy JSON-based microservices. And the result is frankly staggering. Cross-border settlement latency is now under 400 milliseconds. 400 milliseconds. Let that sink in for a second. We used to measure this stuff in T+2 days, waiting agonizing hours or days for simple wire transfers to clear. Now, your money crosses the globe before you can even blink. It is an absolute game changer for international commerce.
And this blistering speed isn't just for traditional banking anymore. It forms the backbone of the entire decentralized blockchain space. Personal finance isn't just fiat cash. Distributed ledgers form the immutable backbone of peer-to-peer lending now. And thanks to zero-knowledge EVMs, which are Ethereum Layer 2 rollups, those notoriously high gas fees have been drastically reduced. This makes microtransactions mathematically viable again. You can literally have a smart contract governing a personal collateralized loan that executes dynamically, based entirely on real-time Oracle data feeding in, asset prices at millisecond intervals.
Which brings us perfectly to the predictive AI running this whole show. Modern robo-advisors are using transformer-based neural networks to compute probabilistic models of your future wealth. And the core optimization function for that looks exactly like this. Just, your simple everyday middle school math, right?
Okay, jokes aside, let's actually translate that terrifying stochastic calculus equation into human reality. What this represents is an AI engine continuously optimizing your personal utility function of wealth. It's dynamically adjusting your asset allocation weights across equities, tokenized real estate, digital commodities, all via high-frequency trading APIs. It does this by analyzing macroeconomic indicators in your own personal spending behavior, entirely while you sleep.
But with all this seamless hyperconnectivity comes a pretty chilling professional reality. Because personal finance is now deeply integrated into the Internet of Things, your attack surface has expanded exponentially. I am stating this with absolute seriousness. If it is not properly secured, your toaster could theoretically leak your net worth. It is equal parts hilarious and completely terrifying.
So to stop your kitchen appliances from completely ruining your financial life, security has had to level up massive amounts. We now rely heavily on secure enclaves embedded directly in device system on chips. Transactions are signed using the elliptic curve digital signature algorithm. But more importantly, to future-proof things like your biometric rings and smartwatches against incoming quantum decryption attacks, the industry is increasingly adopting highly advanced lattice-based post-quantum cryptography. Long story short, they are building quantum-proof digital fortresses inside your jewelry.
But this whole ecosystem isn't just about the math anymore. It is a massive global showdown.
It's deeply influenced by regional regulatory frameworks and the underlying philosophical approaches of the dominant tech conglomerates. How you actually experience all this cutting-edge technology heavily depends on exactly where you live.
When we look across the globe, the philosophies are starkly different. Over in the Americas, Silicon Valley's philosophy is pretty much ecosystem monopolization. They want to turn every single consumer device into a potential lending terminal via hyper-aggregators like Apple Wallet and Google Pay, heavily utilizing NFC tokenization. Meanwhile, Europe is fiercely anchored on consumer sovereignty and PS33 frameworks. They mandate strict regional data localization and utilize multi-cloud neobanks. Europe prioritizes what's called federated learning, meaning the AI trains right on your local device rather than sending your highly sensitive raw financial data up to a centralized server.
And then there's Asia. Asia has totally pioneered this massive super app infrastructure. Think of platforms like Alipay or Grab. By utilizing distributed relational databases like OceanBase, these systems handle extreme concurrency. During peak load events like Singles Day, they are processing an astonishing 500,000 transactions per second. That is literally like the entire population of Miami buying a cup of coffee in a single second. They seamlessly merge social graphing with credit scoring, evaluating IoT sensor data and social metadata to dynamically adjust your lending limits on the fly.
So, how on earth do financial institutions survive this insanely intense landscape? Dropping the humor for just a second here, this requires extreme professional rigor. A strict expert selection matrix has to be meticulously applied to ensure interoperability, security, and scalability as we move deep into 2026 and beyond.
Let's break down this benchmark matrix. For authentication, the baseline is FIDO2. But future-proofing demands continuous behavioral biometrics via AI. For data APIs, anything less than gRPC with protocol buffers is absolutely obsolete for server-to-server speed. The strategic directive here is an agnostic infrastructure approach. You have to deploy containerized applications via Kubernetes to allow seamless migration between cloud providers and completely avoid vendor lock-in. Furthermore, edge computing, meaning processing logic right at the writer level, is absolutely critical to driving down latency.
To really appreciate the absolute engineering marvel of this, let's track just one single high-frequency trade triggered by your personal AI. It is a microsecond sprint. The UDP datagram just rockets across the DWDM optical fiber using 64 QAM for maximum spectral efficiency. It hits the data center, interfacing directly with a smart NIC equipped with an FPGA for hardware decoding. It then completely bypasses the OS kernel entirely using the data plane development kit, ensuring deterministic latency in the low microsecond regime. Okay, take a breath. If that sounded like your microtrades might just vanish into the digital ether at those blistering speeds, don't worry. Simultaneously, ledger reconciliation is occurring asynchronously. The transaction state is serialized using protocol buffers and committed to a distributed Raft consensus cluster. The mathematical models governing this fault tolerance ensure absolutely zero data loss even during the highest load epochs, meaning your money is completely safe no matter how ridiculously fast the system is running.
Which leaves us with one final and honestly pretty provocative thought. We've got transformer-based neural networks optimizing our wealth. We've got lattice-based cryptography securing our biometric rings. We have hardware bypassing OS kernels to trade in fractions of a microsecond. So, if AI manages your wealth and quantum cryptography protects it, what exactly is your job in this hyper-automated financial reality? It's definitely something to chew on while you make sure your smart toaster isn't day trading your retirement fund. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and as always, stay curious.